I stand here today as a proud Michigan alumnus, but also as an even prouder parent of one of the graduates. And when I told my son Jonas that I would be today's graduation speaker, his reaction was probably the same as many of yours. And this is a direct quote what my son actually said. "You, not Tom Brady? There's so many people they can pick." And he goes on, "It's like a 13th seed winning March Madness." So first, thank you to the people who believe in the 13th seed, President Ono and the Regents, including Mark Bernstein, my Michigan classmate and friend, distinguished faculty, guests, and staff. Special love to all the families and friends, including my own, who came here to celebrate the reason we are all here today, the class of 2024. From the start, it hasn't been easy for you. You were born just before or in the aftermath of 9/11. All of us worrying about the world that lay ahead of you. 19 years later, COVID hit, taking millions of lives and turning your first years here upside down. It didn't stop you. For so many, this is your first proper graduation since middle school. You know how long we've all been waiting for this day. We all have past versions of ourselves, all of us here, including me. At 22 years old, I was graduating from Michigan. I remember sitting right there. I'll never forget that it was the year that football star Desmond Howard won the Heisman Trophy. And mid-speech, the graduation speaker called Desmond Howard's name, and he stood up and in full cap and gown did the Heisman pose. I remember thinking, I love being part of Michigan and seeing that excellence from one of my classmates. And as I look at the journey, 22-year-old me up there to 54-year-old me standing here, it defies all logic. There are many things that science and math can explain. When someone offers you a breath mint, take it. Learn the Uber driver's name. If you're nice to me and a jerk to the waiter, you're a jerk. But some things are unexplainable. They're just magic. As a writer, that's my job, making things appear out of thin air. So that's what I'd like to discuss today, how to make magic. Of course, that sounds absurd. Real magic doesn't exist. But when you ask professional magicians, they'll tell you there are actually only 4 types of magic tricks. That's it. Put aside illusions and escapes. There's just 4 types of tricks. 1, you make something appear. 2, you make something disappear. 3, you take 2 things and switch places. And number 4, you change one thing into something else. So, the first way for you to make magic, you make something appear. And what you need to make appear is you. I'm not talking about showing up, but making the best version of you appear. We're all chameleons. We act one way with our parents, another way with our friends. But as the writer Tim Urban explains, underneath all those outer yous is an inner you. That's who you really are down deep. The ultimate version of you. The one where you feel the most confident and secure, where you're fully present and focused. That version only comes out with people you're comfortable with and who appreciate the real you and love you for it. When I graduated Michigan, my first job was in Boston with a boss who said he'd be my mentor. And I was so excited. But the week I got to Boston, my boss left the job. I thought my life was ruined. So that night, in some rundown sports bar, I told my girlfriend, I know what I'm going to do with this year, what all of us would do in a moment where we think our lives are ruined. I said, I'm going to write a novel. And my girlfriend had the best reaction of all. She didn't laugh. She told me, go write that novel. She believed in that version of me. That girlfriend gave me lift. When I finally wrote that book, I got 24 rejection letters. There were only 20 publishers at the time, and I got 24 rejection letters. That means some people were writing me twice to make sure I got the point. But I said, if they don't like that book, I'll write another. And if they don't like that book, I'll write another. I realized I wanted to be a novelist. And my girlfriend, she didn't laugh at that either. That next book did get published. I owe her forever for that lift she gave me. Why do you think I married her? She's here in the stadium, the mother of my graduate. And can we hear it for every strong mother, father, grandparents, whoever it is who helped raise you, whether they're here today or not, let it hear it for them in the big house. Something happened when I got that unconditional support. Professor Jane Dutton calls it a reflected best self-portrait. When someone you trust sees your potential and says they believe you can be that person, it opens up a path and inspires you to become that version of yourself. That's why the friends you're sitting next to right now matter. Hold tight to them. Their love and trust are key ingredients, because when you leave here, your mission is to make the best version of you appear, and then watch. Surprise yourself. Build something that can't be ignored. We'll be the ones cheering. Which leads to the second way to make magic. You make something disappear. And it's tempting to say that you should make fear disappear. But let me challenge that. In high school, I had a job scooping ice cream at the Haagen-Dazs in the Aventura Mall. And one day this woman came up and she started snapping her fingers at me. "You need to serve me," she barked. And I said, "Ma'am, I'll be right with you." And now she says, and we go back and forth. And eventually I say to her, "You know what, ma'am, you're being rude. I'm not serving you." "You better serve me," she yelled. And when I refused, she screamed in my face, "You're gonna be working in this miserable ice cream store for the rest of your miserable life." And I calmly told her, "Ma'am, if I am working here for the rest of my miserable life, you're still never getting any ice cream." And for decades, I used to tell that story laughing, saying it never even bothered me. But I need to admit here, it did bother me. It terrified me. My dad struggled financially his whole life, and it made me feel like my life would be filled with that same financial struggle. But I now also realize that fear this woman brought out in me, it fueled me. It drove me. It's the same thing our football team did this year. How do you think Michigan versus everybody worked? That feeling when we lost our coach, everyone telling us we were done and finished. God, did it feel good to fight back, to beat Penn State, beat Ohio State for the third time, go to the Rose Bowl, right? Go to the Rose Bowl, and come on, you know what's coming. Winning the national championship your senior year. So yes, make your fear disappear, but not because fear is bad. Use your fear, harness it, let them underestimate you. In the end, don't vanquish your critics, prove them wrong. Which leads me to the third way to make magic. You make two things change places with each other. And here, let's talk about empathy. That's what empathy is, switching places with someone else and putting yourself in their shoes. When I was 13 years old, my dad lost his job. He barely had any savings, and we had no place to live. So my parents moved us from Brooklyn, New York to Miami, Florida, where my grandparents lived, so we could stay with them until we got back on our feet. And for months, 6 of us, my mom, dad, sister, myself, plus 2 grandparents, lived in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment. And since it was Florida, all the condo commandos complained that we couldn't have that many people in such a small space. And then one day, the neighbor across the hall told my grandmother that she'd leave her own apartment and give it to my grandparents so we could use it, so my family could have some space and comfort and not have to worry about those who wanted to evict us. I remember her name as Mercy, which as a kid, I always heard as mercy. Make no mistake, mercy and empathy is what she showed us. Today, cruelty and venom, harshly judging those we disagree with, it's become sport in our culture. But cruelty and venom aren't proof of strength. They're signs of weakness and petty insecurity. What takes strength is switching places and putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And it's not easy, right? It's not easy. In fact, studies show that when we get too much bad news, our brains get overwhelmed. That's why we change the channel, we swipe to a new app, and shut down. Do not shut down. We need you. If you shut down, we're in trouble. Today in the stands, there are families experiencing divorce and financial hardship. Some of your fellow students are fighting cancer. 2 are getting posthumous degrees today since they passed away. And many have buried parents and grandparents during their time at Michigan. Every family in this stadium has someone who they wish could be here today. I wish my parents were alive to see my kids today, to see that we're okay. As you go through life, every person you encounter is battling something you can't see. The solution is switching places and feeling empathy. As the saying goes, one day, someone is going to hug you so tight that all of your broken pieces will fit back together. The world needs more empathy, more humility, and certainly more decency. If you really want to shock the world, unleash your kindness. That's a completely naive idea, but it's an idea worth fighting for. Now, we talked about the magic of making something appear, making something disappear, and making two things switch places, which leaves us with the final way to make magic, changing one thing into something else. The hardest trick of all, transformation. Who you are today isn't the person you'll be in the future. Graduation may feel like a finale, but it's not an end point. So let me just say it. Never stop changing. When I was little, my favorite thing in the amusement park was the Hall of Mirrors. Some people love watching little kids crash into the glass. I loved it because I had hair back then, and it was glorious. But what I really loved about the Hall of Mirrors was how you could turn your head just slightly, and all those versions of you would appear, all the possibilities. As we get older, it's human nature to see just one version, to get locked into ways of thinking about the world, about your life path, about who you are. But as a friend recently told me, when you write things in stone, everything becomes hard and brittle and starts collecting dust. As you leave Michigan, write in pencil and be unafraid to use the eraser. The person who thinks they're the smartest in the room, I promise you, is not the smartest in the room. That's just the one with the most fragile ego. The most sophisticated and intelligent people I know are the ones willing to challenge their thinking and admit there's more to learn. Life will absolutely not be what you think it will be. It will be hard and wonderful and messy and rewarding with more versions of you than you think possible. The only immutable fact is you should never be immutable. Keep transforming, learning, and never think you know it all. Instead, see yourself in the Hall of Mirrors, endless possibilities. Now you know the 4 ways to make magic. You make the best version of you appear. Make your fear disappear and harness it. Switch places to find empathy, and never stop transforming. So let me reveal the final step, what all 4 tricks have in common. They take effort. They take you. Things don't just appear or disappear by themselves. Making magic, figuring out who you are takes work, time, and intentionality. As writer Simon Sinek reminded me, that's how magic is. Full commitment to the bit or it all falls apart. So many people sacrifice to get you here today, but that love is not left in the stadium. Wherever you go, the best part is Michigan never leaves you. We even have our own abracadabra magic word. You'll see, you'll be in an airport and you'll spot that block M on someone and you'll whisper it without even thinking. The magic words, "Go Blue." And that person will nod, and you'll instantly be transported back to this place like magic. And you'll make plans and come back with your friends, all of you wearing your own block M's, opening your shirts to show them off like Superman's big red S. And then maybe one day, you'll come back proudly to watch your child, like we're watching all of you, the unstoppable class of 2024 become Michigan graduates. And that's the best trick of all. You graduate in the University of Michigan, you already won. That's it, you won. Like I said, there are past versions of all of us, and the only thing I know for sure is if that past version of you could see you now, they would look at you in awe. As for that past version of me, I see myself at 22, sitting in my own cap and gown, watching Desmond Howard do his pose as the graduates cheer. And it reminds me that magic is never for yourself. It's a gift you give other people. And that's the real reveal. In our time together, I've used magic as metaphor. But real magic, the most powerful magic, that comes from making memories. Memories that endure like cherished friendships. Memories so powerful that even though they happened years ago, you can feel them now, see them now, conjured out of thin air. That's the thing about time and memory. They're slippery, which is why the best magicians always have a final trick up their sleeve. Sometimes magic is hiding right in front of you the entire time. Class of 2024, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my friend, Desmond Howard. Here's the thing. If you want to be the best magician, you got to top your last trick. Class of 2024, it's your turn now. Welcome your national champions, Blake Corbin and JJ McCarthy! Treasure your memories here. And don't ever forget, the only people who see magic are the ones who look for it. Jonas, Lila, Theo, you know how much I love being your dad. Class of 2024, show them what you got. Make magic. Go Blue.